Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Flatsoid, Paul, Chocolate Sayin, Arwin, 10th Man, and I think that's pretty much it in G+. Welcome one and all.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Yo, good morning.
Hello. And we're also joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord as well. So hello to everyone in Discord.
Good afternoon, Mr. Oakley.
Good afternoon. Hello. Any signs of Earth curvature?
No.
Still flat in South Africa.
Nothing from California.
Any evidence of axial rotation?
No.
Earth is stationary.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm still not moving.
I mean, I was almost convinced with the Mr. Professor from Gilligan's Island who wanted to debate Riley. I mean, I was almost convinced by sunsets and sunrise and look, things are moving in the sky. That was his argument of this is evidence for Earth spinning. So, yeah.
Check out.
What is this hypothesis?
Just want to plug Sleeping Warriors. So check out Sleeping Warriors video. I assume that's in response to some of the nonsense that was spouted by a claimed to be professor yesterday on Flat Earth Roundtable on Ranty Flat Earth YouTube channel. So check out Ranty Flat Earth and Sleeping Warriors debate / discussion / endless droning on about what isn't science. So yeah, no, very poor, not a proof of axial rotation, but Anthony has addressed that in terms of the lack of scientific evidence for Earth rotation and the nonsense that's espoused to the claim that we have an axial rotation for a spherical Earth. Go on, Flatsoid. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. You can go on.
Any evidence of gas pressure without a container for all the fundamentalist religious zealots who believe in the vacuum of the sky known as outer space?
Gravity.
We'll
No.
get there.
Just walk outside, man.
We'll get there. We'll get to gravity as well.
I'd like to circle. I haven't got time right now, but I would like to circle back to this topic when I get a chance. So just
No worries.
continue on, and I'll come back later.
Yeah, fine. Any evidence of gravity? Scientific evidence thereof?
Nope. Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity, the thing claimed that you can maintain gas pressure
How
without
can
a
you-
container, without any sort of demonstration.
Well, the proof would be that we have gas pressure here on this Earth, and it couldn't be if there was no gravity, because then, yeah, all the gas would be sucked into outer space. Ha!
That's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. If gravity,
It is?
then yeah, if gravity, P, then gas pressure without a container, which is also a logical fallacy, Q. Gas pressure without a container, therefore gravity. That's if P, then Q, Q, therefore P, affirming the consequent.
Hmm.
A logical
But how
fallacy.
would you? How can you anyway have scientific evidence of a conceptual medium?
You can't. You can't have scientific evidence of the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time. That's utter nonsense.
But what if you don't believe that
Unless,
and you want to
unless
believe
you
in Newton?
unless you remember that there is no spoon.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Not measurable.
Well,
Nope.
you don't know
Yeah.
that, but it's not measured. You don't know if it's not measurable. You have to try that first.
Hello to
I'm
proficient pirate, Silver Umbrella, and Dougie. Good to have you.
Well, they've measured everything else, so what's holding them back?
No, they haven't.
What else did they measure?
They deduced shit.
What else did they actually measure though?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Not measurable. They say it's 93 million miles away.
But where did they get that in the first place, though?
You want the answer
By
quickly?
by pseudo measurements.
No, I'm just wondering where did the original input for that start?
Aristarchus assumed the Earth is a sphere based on the eclipse. So the curved shadow means Earth's blocking the sun as a sphere. So that's the first assumption. Then you have the calculation from, what is it, Aristoteles. That'll give you your measurement of a presupposed R value. And then you take the presupposition that Earth is a sphere with that R value and then transpose that onto Venus and give Venus the same radius as Earth. Then you apply Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion to calculate the eclipses and transits to give you the exact distances. So you end up with a sun at 93 million miles away, based on the mathematics of assuming Venus is the same size as Earth, Earth is a sphere with a given radius. That's how you get it.
Holy shit, I didn't know it was that elaborate.
The exact
Yeah, it's just
distances of
assumptions.
an assumption. Nice.
It starts with
You
R.
summed it up really well there, but damn, man. That's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, sure. It starts with R though. So any evidence of Earth radius, the R value, spherical R value assumed for Earth.
Well, it would have
The
to be,
Arvin and
otherwise
here.
the sun couldn't be 93 million miles away.
You've got to have R first. That you asked where the maths came from. The maths includes R. Any evidence of R? Presupposition thereof.
No, I
Answering
got
my own
mistakes
question.
with me, sorry.
But that was my point, though. That's it. The R has to be like that, otherwise the sun wouldn't have been 93 million miles away. Get it?
Yeah, but you've got the R value from in the first instance, the R value has come from that celestial body. So you assume Earth is a sphere, and then you take the trajectory that the sun travels in that seems to be a circle, apparent circle that it takes, and you assume that the average point is the equator. But that would be the average point, i.e. the centre point, on a presupposed sphere. So instead of it going above your head in a circle, it's now traversing the outside edge of a sphere when you make those measurements. Hence you can automatically, or they automatically insert the R value into their measurements, because it's automatically presupposed that your sun is in a fixed position at the centre of the solar system, and the reason it spins is because you're spinning around that axis at the given R value, and that R value has come from the sun in the first place. So, yeah. Anyway. It's my exasperation. Any evidence of the R value or not?
We
You
Wait,
got a super
where?
chat?
I'm lost. That was too much.
That super chat, Nathan.
So yeah, I was just reading it. So Leonardo Gonzalez, thank you very much indeed for the super chat. He says, Nathan, you've had that guy on the that debated Anthony on your show before. He's that guy that wanted to model flat Earth. You must have pummeled him so badly he turned baller and fraud again. Thanks very much for the super chat, Leonardo Gonzalez. I don't remember him. Certainly don't recall his voice.
Really?
So many fundies come by.
I don't know. He doesn't seem like. Well, I don't know. I could be wrong. We've had a lot of episodes, but I don't remember that guy ever here.
I don't remember him either.
I
trust Leonardo's right though.
The guy's a total LARP. Total idiot. Tier 1 arguments. It was just
So Mercury M7 says, Nathan Oakley 1980 is a stupid scammer. Let me know what you're out, and I'll refund you, Mercury M7. No questions asked. Just let me know the amount. Anyway, moving on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
There's that R
So just
value
yummy
again.
marshmallows over fire.
Say again, Flatsoid?
Molten iron core always reminds Flatsoid of a marshmallow under a fire.
Right.
He always says it.
Well, I'm just wondering, has anybody ever brought back up a sample of this molten iron at some point?
No, they've only got 12k. You know this as well as I do. They haven't dug down further than 12 kilometres. About 8
Right.
miles. Kohler deep borehole, I think it's called. Like a
It was
Polar
fresh
super
information,
deep borehole, yeah.
couple of inch, maybe 3 inch wide pipe that they've dug down. And they got to about 12 and a bit kilometres and they couldn't go any further.
They couldn't, or
No.
they wouldn't.
They couldn't. They'd go a few inches and then they'd get through their drill bit, and then they go another few inches and then they get through their drill bit. It wasn't like they were cutting through and laying down pipe. They were just cutting and destroying drill bits, and they just basically couldn't go any further.
Even with tungsten? That is weird.
Pretty sure they were on the cutting edge, no pun intended, of the technology to drill with when they did that.
Yeah, that's tungsten. They're tungsten made. It's the hardest material known. And
Pretty sure.
very durable.
Pretty sure adamantium's harder, but
If you can give us a sample of that, love to.
I'll just wait for
study
that
it.
next meteorite to come down with it and
No,
send in a team of
meteorites don't
assassins
have
to go and hijack
adamantine.
it for you, Arwin.
No, meteorites don't contain adamantine. Meteorites contain other type of alloys.
You gotta go to Wakanda.
What's a meteorite?
Metal, a piece of metal coming down from somewhere above, hitting.
So anyway,
Well,
to answer your
that's
question, no, nobody has
Like a
sampled
satellite.
the presupposed molten iron core. No, that hasn't happened, Darwin.
Mhm.
I think that concludes the
What I've
housekeeping.
gathered is that meteorites contain unique alloys that don't naturally form, which would be nickel. What is it? Nickel cadmium. Yep, a natural composition, according to what I've heard from an actual metallurgist.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, I just want to ask, have you actually checked it out?
I don't know. Look, guys, I don't know if meteorites are a complete fictional tale. At this point, I'm saying, like, I just don't know where this comes from. I could imagine it could be artificially created as a very long-term scan that could be 200 years old or something. But I just don't know for sure. Maybe there is some kind of natural cause for these weird rocks to be falling down to Earth, you know? I remember there being descriptions even in the Bible about it. So,
Hey,
you know?
Yellow. I cannot give you a super chat. I cannot give you a super chat, but I come into the panel because maybe somebody that don't like me want to give you a super chat, maybe to insult me or something. So yeah, good looking at.
Jose,
What's up, Jose?
Yeah.
You're not
You
Mon
got a
Patrol.
happy,
I'm sorry, what was that? I got a happy what?
you got a happy face.
I got a happy face. Yeah, I'm struggling and going through a lot of personal things, but always keeping my head high and a smile on my face. That's how we do it, man.
That's good.
What's going on, Jose? You all right, man?
All is good. Yeah, I woke up really early, so why not to join a little bit? maybe I get put in the spot and I'm gonna say like, I don't know, or I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna go down.
You try to make it like old times.
You know it, man. You know it.
Why not?
Yeah.
We got
You know that globe shit is nonsense anyway, so it's okay.
Who's
I'll
it
be
that-
good. I'll behave. I'm trying to breathe in deep and try to keep under control. I'm struggling with my own tree getting and coming in hot. So yeah, I'm working on it.
Was it Arwin that mentioned stopping traffic in my Rasta hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in our chat now. Shout out to stopping traffic in my Rasta hat.
Woohoo!
Got a mention on the pre-show, stopping traffic, just so you know. I
Yay, Rasta.
think we're done with housekeeping, by the way, in case anyone was deeply concerned.
Hey, Jose, did you see Ranting?
any
Right?
new?
To be honest, that was kind of my cue for Paul.
Oh.
He might not
Okay,
be
yeah,
free.
sorry. I was trying to. I'm back. I'm just trying to get everybody out the door this morning, so I'm just trying to do it. But I'll see if I can do it really quickly. Gas pressure without a container and differential pressure, right? That's the argument from the Globers. I actually got one of them to admit something yesterday that I think is very relevant to this discussion. Let me see if I can share my screen here. I wish I could record this stuff when I have this conversation, but I never can. Okay. That's not what I wanted. Okay. Everybody's seen this, right, before?
Periodic table.
Okay. What's that?
Got the periodic table up, right?
Right. So up to the top left-hand corner, you got hydrogen. Over to the right here, you got helium. Then you got nitrogen and oxygen, all this stuff. Well, both hydrogen and helium are gases, obviously. Then you got nitrogen and oxygen. Well, to make a nitrogen or an oxygen gas molecule, it's usually O2, which means it's two particles or atoms of oxygen, which raises the atomic weight from 8 to 16. Okay, so you get this basic idea, and everybody understands that roughly, so I don't have to unpack that too much, right? Or basic understanding.
I think we could
So
just take the silence as we all agree.
Okay. Now, do you see this? This is the comparable kinetic energy of an object. Like if you look at the different objects here, between the velocity and the actual energy produced changes, you know, but it's also proportional to the density, to the weight of the object and stuff like that. Kind of like if you look at the base, I used the tennis ball comparison yesterday. Like if a tennis ball has the same velocity or same speed hitting a wall, would it have the same force applied to it as a baseball? What do you guys think? I mean, obviously you can look at the comparison; it shows it, but basically a baseball would have more force applied to it because of the weight of the object compared to a tennis ball, right? You understand that?
Well, you would have to apply more force to the baseball anyway, right? Because it's heavier, more dense.
Well, I'm just talking about just the speed right now. Yeah, you would have to have more force to accelerate it, definitely. But I mean, I'm talking about if you're going at the exact same rate of speed or velocity, whatever the word is. When they impact the wall, the baseball is going to apply more force than the tennis ball will, because basically of the weight of the objects, even though they could be roughly the same size.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay, now look at this right here. If I can find it here. Hold on. Do you see this chart? It's basically a chart of the atmosphere. It shows the different layers of the atmosphere. You guys see that? And if you
we've just got it scaled. Yeah, I can see all the scales now. I've got it on screen.
Okay, so you got the height of kilometers at the bottom. So at the lower altitudes, the most of what you're going to have is nitrogen and oxygen. Which would, if we go back to, where is it at? Go back to this. Where do you have it? Go back to this chart. Obviously, the nitrogen and oxygen are heavier, so they're going to be more at the bottom of this. Where'd the graph go? At this graph. But as you go up, like this gray area is helium, and this really light gray area is hydrogen. So now, obviously, because the mass of the particles at ground level are going to be heavier than the particles at higher altitudes, there's going to be the kinetic energy applied to that, the force of that's going to be reduced. You understand that?
I'm with you. We're following so far.
Okay.
Everyone else following?
Go ahead.
Just checking
You're
with
not
everyone else
following?
on the panel. If everyone else is following, everyone's just on mute. I just don't want this to come to a conclusion and everyone else go, I wasn't really listening.
Yeah, I'm following so far.
Okay. Right, and obviously we know water typically is down at the ground level typically, so it does rise, but not that much because of its atomic weight as well. But I think there's other factors involved with that. Now, if the molecules hitting the balloon or the barometer at higher altitudes would be there could be the same amount of stuff, but because their atomic weight is less, the pressure applied to the barometer would be less. Just like because the less force is applied to the wall with like the tennis ball or the baseball. I mean, you still have to have a containment of this gas pressure, and I think the key component in this is water itself, because we know when you put water in a vacuum, you remove all the air, it starts to boil. So this all is still a pressurized system and has to have containment, is my argument. But what is causing the differential pressure is the nature of the gases at each level. You understand? That's my claim at this point.
Yeah, you're always going to have the necessary antecedent for gas pressure in the first instance. You've got to have a container. You don't need to put that in your caveat because you're just explaining a reasonable explanation for the pressure density gradient. It doesn't change the antecedent that's required. You're still going to need a container. So
right,
MC,
go ahead.
sorry, I just shout out the super chatter. Sorry, MC Universe Sacred Truth Keeper says the ripples created from this show will echo through space-time for trillions of light years. Yeah, right. Thanks, guys. And then a peace sign and heart. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, MC Universe Sacred Truth Seeker.
Okay, right. So back to that the containment issue. If you remove the container, obviously the first gas is going to go is hydrogen. It's gone. The next layer, helium. It's gone. The next layer is the ozone layer, which is this regular oxygen. It's gone. Then and so forth and so on until you get to the water, which also will start to boil off, which I think is becoming a necessary antecedent to have liquid pressure or to have water in liquid form has to be pressure. So I'll leave it there for discussion. I'm going to have to finish getting everybody ready for work. So I'll listen and comment as I can.
There's nothing to add really, Paul. I mean, you've just laid out stuff that's obvious and, documented and makes perfect sense in terms of how the gases are going to separate because of the density. There's nothing to really argue against in what you're saying. It all makes perfect logical sense. So I don't know if anyone else has got anything to add or discuss. Heaven forbid someone would want to dispute anything that Paul's just said, given that it's basically common sense and absolute fact in every regard. I can't see anybody disputing anything you've just said, if I'm honest, Paul.
Well, Jose's on here. He's a Glober, or if anybody on the Discord, what do you guys think?
We haven't got contrarian Jose. Well, we might have. Maybe you proved me wrong. He came in and provided a citation against space-time yesterday, so it seems like Jose's had a bit of an about turn rather than defending the nonsense. He seems to come in and pointing out and highlighting the nonsense last time he came on, at least. So
yeah, I listen to you. Yeah, I mean, you explain well. You point. I cannot refute that. I'm just listening, man.
But sometimes it is worthwhile pointing out some of those things to the general audience, because some people aren't aware of these things. It's pretty basic stuff, though. Wouldn't you agree, Paul?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, very much so. And something else I'll bring up real quick when it comes to the Coriolis effect. I actually got them to admit yesterday that you can be moving and standing still at the same time. Do we know anything that violates?
Wow.
The law of non-contradiction?
Non-contradiction? Maybe. Like, how are you moving and staying still at the same time? Okay? I mean, come on, guys. Accelerating coffee cups that's sitting on my table. What's going on, man?
It's kind of like
Insane.
it's double speak in the regards that you could say, well, if you're sat on a bus, you could sit completely motionless on that frame of reference that is in turn moving, but that doesn't mean you're not moving. Yeah, you're in a stationary position
Right.
on the frame of reference that's moving. You know what I mean? You can't be moving and not moving. That just isn't.
Why?
I'm
Why
still
would
going to
some-
continue asking them and proposing little thought experiments and situations, because they do really, the globe side do a lot of thought experiments, like what if you are like in a moving car or a moving train or all this shit. So I propose them a lot of small little thought experiments and situations, and yeah, I mean, yeah, and they don't gonna like this, but it's true. I call them in their faces. That sounds like double speak to me. They do a lot, because is it the atmosphere velcro to the earth? Is it not? Is it moving separate? I mean, this about reference frames, Coriolis. I'm still all over the place understanding it, because one day somebody says something, one day the same person another day say something, even 5 minutes later, or in the same sentence. So it's still all over the place. They say, "Oh, we have explained it 1,000 times and very well," but there are issues that me, at least, not having English as my first language, it's not that I cannot understand it in the first take, but I've heard it 700 times and I still can't understand it, because it's a lot of double speak for real.
Jose, the problem is that they don't understand their own arguments. Have you noticed that the double speak that they, like you just said, sometimes it's in the same sentence, the double speak. They don't understand this argument. And that's what's making it so crazy, because they think we're wrong. And it's like, no, guys, in your model, right, in your narrative, the Earth is supposed to be spinning underneath every object in the inertial reference frame, right?
I remember
Anytime you leave the ground, it should be spinning underneath you, but it's not.
I
And
remember
what
when I
they're
asked.
the
No, I got it.
reason I'm sorry, but the reason they're confused is that in their model, yeah, if you do a quick Google search, yeah, the atmosphere is supposed to be spinning with the Earth. But the problem is, in their narrative, they also have the Coriolis, which goes completely against that. So it's like, it's not even their fault that they're confused. It's the narrative itself that's self-defeating. They've got two bullshit points in the same narrative. You get that?
Yeah, and it's disturbing when I ask him, like, but I know they hate the Neil deGrasse Tyson quotes and the stuff, but it's out there. I mean, that's what he proposes, and people that haven't looked into this subject, they listen to deGrasse and they say, like, all right, yeah, he's the man, you know. But I say, so when he says that the football went into the net or whatever, they did the goal, is because of Coriolis. If the earth rotated underneath the ball for like whatever split time and he went in the thing, you know, whatever quote he did about the ball and the Coriolis. I call bullshit to that. And they actually did. They said, yeah, no, that's bullshit. And somebody else said, no, it's true. I go, like, what is going on? In the same, within 5 seconds, one person say that's not true, that's just kind of just a show. Another person say, oh no, it's true. I said, what is going on here?
Exactly the point. See what I just told you? Even their own narrative has them fighting amongst themselves as to which part of the narrative is true. It's bullshit, bro. Just look at it. Just listen to these guys try to argue with it. It's nonsense. You know it. You just said it.
Oh no, I'm evolving well, bro. As the days go by, I like thinking of more little thought experiments. I let people just go at it and try to keep it calm, but I really do want to ask these questions over and over, and they get the little grin in their face, like, oh my god, like we just explained this. I said, yeah, explain it again, because I'm getting two answers, you know. I'm getting left and I'm getting right. I want the straight answer, you know.
Well, the straight answer is only a globetard would pay a bus fare for a non-moving bus.
Nice. Yeah, man.
The reason the narrative falls apart is because the narrative is a lie and it's built on the fallacy. And if it was true, it wouldn't fall apart.
Oh, I get it. So they get on the bus under the guise that the chauffeur promised them that he would go out for a drive eventually. And they're just waiting. That's kind of NASA.
No, they get on the bus and they say don't worry about us not moving. The Earth will rotate underneath. Honest.
And then I hear a lot about inertia.
Just
You
put
know,
it in neutral.
it depends on the inertia. You know, the object and the leaving the. Fuck, I forgot the term, but it also has to do with velocity. Like it depends if
Conservation.
it has a motor that you can control the apparatus, like whatever a helicopter. You don't have to because you're controlling it. And then there's the air current. So there's no like the answer is
Well, no,
so many variables,
that is an answer, though.
in every
Hold on,
single
I just want to
situation.
unpack that, Jose. So what you're saying is they fight for the conservation of angular momentum. In other words, the thing leaves the spinning reference frame and continues at the same rate. But that argument is an argument for there being no deviation. Their claim that the deviation that is Coriolis effect is proving Earth spins. The people who argue that it retains the spin aren't proving the Coriolis deviation. They're essentially saying, we don't see deviation. Well, they're supposed to be, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, fighting for seeing that deviation because that's what's supposed to be proving it's spinning.
But they know there isn't. So they can't look too crazy. So they have to fight that there isn't, even though they have to fight that there is.
Well, they're supposed
great.
to. They're supposed to fight there is, because that's the thing. The deviation, the Coriolis effect, is supposed to be the bit that proves Earth spinning. Because what creates Coriolis effect? Earth spinning underneath a non-inertial reference frame. The deviation claimed by Neil deGrasse Tyson, seen in the ball if you were watching it from the stands, is the claim that proves Earth spins. The Earth turned underneath the ball, proving Earth turns. Other than you pushing up on an upstick on a drone and it not deviating, and you're not arriving an hour and a half later when travelling from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA, with Earth turning underneath. It doesn't turn underneath. If it did, you'd see the deviation they claim proves Earth is spinning. That's the point of Coriolis. So every bonehead dingbat like George out there who argues that it's not deviating is arguing against the claimed proof that it is spinning. Earth, that is.
Yeah, this whole argument about powered flight is a red herring. The powered flight would prove the Earth is spinning because you can go up in a helicopter and just stay hovering and the Earth would spin underneath. So this powered flight is a total red herring, and they're trying to say by using the words that, oh, the pilot is adjusting for the Earth spin. All right, well, let's just get it up there and hover and the pilot doesn't adjust.
Oh, let me
Should the
unpack
Earth
that
spin
too.
underneath?
Let me unpack that too. So they're claiming that they adjust for the deviation, therefore you don't see it because the pilots accounted for it, even though they absolutely do not. However, if you're simply travelling west on the same line, like you would if you were travelling from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA, they're pretty much on the same line. There's no adjustment needed. You just end up arriving an hour and a half later, and you don't. Because Earth isn't rotating underneath, and the deviation they claim that the pilots are accounting for would be if they're travelling anything other than west. Now, if they're travelling east, they'd be fighting against the Earth turn that apparently they have to account for. If they're having to account for it because it's causing some sort of deviation, the cause of that deviation would be Earth rotating underneath. No need to account for any deviation in that instance. You just arrive a lot sooner because Earth rotated underneath the plane. No, it didn't though, did it? It still took 4.5 hours because Earth didn't rotate under the plane, doesn't rotate underneath drones, doesn't rotate underneath helicopters, and the only claim that things do deviate to prove Earth spinning underneath are things with a very short hang time, like bullets and balls. So the reason their claim to show the deviation needed to prove Earth spinning underneath is only used when it's got a short hang time, bullet or ball. Because anything with a long hang time that they claim is not going to deviate. Oh yeah, you show me a drone on a roundabout lifting off and the X you've put underneath it when it was attached to the roundabout remains underneath it when it takes off. You only push the up stick and it tracks along with the X. No, that doesn't happen. No, it's not retaining angular velocity. That's horseshit. So no, if it did, you'd be defying the very proof that's claimed to prove Earth spins underneath. Because that's what Coriolis deviation is, Earth spinning underneath. So fighting that it doesn't is definitely not proving Earth spins.
Powered flight doesn't mean only going west to east, north to south, and all the other ways you can do that. It also means you can just hover. And they don't like it when you show them that, Nathan.
Right.
Let's remember this argument messed up Brenda enough that she argued that a glider is powered flight. Let's all take a moment for that.
Yeah, and she's arguing for powered flight, so that she can argue that there isn't any deviation. So no, you don't see the deviation under the hang glider. Well, why not? Oh, because it's powered flight. Absurd. But she's arguing that because she's demonstrating there isn't any Coriolis deviation. The very thing that she should be arguing proves Earth spinning, she's fighting against saying there isn't any. Like George Netanyahu and Rumpus and Kosho and who's the other one? Zanuck. The angular attention is just an argument that there isn't any deviation. Well, the proof that it's spinning is the deviation they're fighting against. That's the situation they're in. Absolutely buggered.
This is I proposed them a little thought experiment a few days ago because they like doing that. So I got a super tall ladder, right? 250 miles high ladder. And I climb into the ladder and I'm just holding on it. And then I see maybe just right next to me, the ISS, the International Space Station, fly by, right? And somebody have exited the ISS, but when that person, astronaut in quotes, leave the ISS, he's just chilling, going outside the door of the ISS, like nothing is moving, right? So he's just like nothing is moving. But then the person in the ladder look ahead of him, and he see this thing whistle by like a mother, like super fast. So the ISS and the person just fly by. Like, really, is that reality? It's so weird. And then I say, all right, so let's say that person unattached itself from the ISS, the person in the ladder let go of the ladder, right? And they're like side by side. What will happen? They say the person next to that ISS, it keep just flying around at whatever thousands of miles per hour. But then the person in the ladder will start falling little by little, just falling down in the earth. And I really cannot wrap my mind around it. And it was a lot of talks and a lot of kind of get a little heated because it wasn't a lot of double speak. Everybody kind of agreeing that will happen, but I really cannot grasp my mind around it. I say, look, so what's the difference, on the ISS is going the same height. Yeah, I know it's going to keep the angular momentum. Is that the explanation? But the person in the ladder isn't supposed to be in space and just start floating or whatever. They say, no, the gravity will pull it and it will fall because the ISS is being always pulled to the Earth also, some shit like that. Just weird, a little twisted. Because they propose these weird explanations and thought experiments. I ask him the same, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm neither here or there on that because it sounds like a lot of bullshit to me.
Hey, Jose, let me help you there if I may, and I hope I am helping you. You don't need to use the medium of space in the ISS and the ladder. All you got to say is there's a non-inertial reference frame and an inertial reference frame. And the minute that drone leaves the non-inertial reference frame, you have your same example.
Yeah, the bottom line, they need things to drift. You need to be able to push up on your drone and you continue to rotate underneath with the claim to be rotating Earth, giving you the deviation, looking like the drone's going away from you, flying away further and further and further. Well, it isn't, because Earth's spinning underneath. In reality, you're spinning away from it. So that's what should prove Earth spins. You and your drone, and it deviating. But it doesn't. That never happens. The only claim that it does is claim to happen in a football that's happening for a couple of seconds. Oh yeah, Earth's definitely rotating underneath that football. Nothing else to see here. Hang on, I'm filming it with a drone that's not moving a smegging inch, Mr. Tyson. So, what are you telling me? That the drone's managing to stay where it is with me having only pushed the up stick for a couple of seconds? Yet the ball is deviating because Earth's rotating underneath? This sounds like doublespeak. Sounds like the deviations only claim to be in things that are in the air for a couple of seconds, whereas things that are in the air for several hours don't show any deviation at all. You don't get shortened flights with Earth rotating underneath planes? Definitely doublespeak, definitely no deviation, definitely not a proof Earth spinning. That's why it's so clouded in doublespeak.
Nathan, quick.
Okie dokie.
Your drone, is it GPS locked?
Is my what, sorry?
Your drone that takes off from the roundabout, is it a GPS locked drone or is it just in free?
No, this came up when Ranty addressed it. He said you can just turn the GPS off.
Yeah, I'm just thinking ballers would argue the fact, well, it would be locked with geostationary satellites.
True. There's plenty of drones that don't have GPS. Plenty of helicopters that have hovered above the ground prior to GPS being on helicopters.
Very true, and that just throws back to my example when I was a hot air balloon pilot and went to nearly 8,000 feet for 1 hour and landed within 2 inches of our takeoff site.
Epic.
Nice.
Shouldn't the Earth rotate underneath and cause you to land in a completely different location if there's a claim to be deviation? In other words, if somebody's watching your balloon go up from the ground, they should see that balloon deviate because they continue to rotate underneath after the balloon's left the ground. But yet they'd watch it go up and then watch it come down and almost squash them, rather than observe any deviation from it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We took off from Victoria Park in Bath. There was 0 wind, absolutely nothing. It was the calmest day I've ever experienced. We went up to 8,000 feet. I think we might have gone to 11,000 feet as well, just to try and catch something. And we landed in exactly the same location we took off, but within a couple of inches.
Yeah, disproving that Earth is rotating.
1 hour in the air.
It disproves that Earth's rotating. The claim from the globe Earth side is that that balloon will deviate. From the ground, you will observe it deviating from your location because you continue to rotate underneath. In the same way, from the stands, you see the ball deviating as it leaves the guy's foot. So it leaves the ground, goes through the air, the ground underneath continues to rotate underneath, causing it to go through the goal, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Well, if it's deviating, so is everything else, including that man's balloon that spoke. What was your name, sir?
Yeah, it's Darren. It's flat simple.
Flat simple. So Darren's balloon should also do the same thing as Neil deGrasse Tyson's football example. In other words, it goes up, you stay on the ground and see it appearing. It's not actually, it's just going to be going up. There's no wind. But it appears to drift away from you, even though it's just going up. Why? Well, because you're on a piece of ground that's continuing to move. Spinning, proving it's spinning, until it comes back down right on top of you. Demonstrating it isn't spinning.
I mean, it's almost the same as when you're 10-pin bowling. You know, obviously you can make the Coriolis effect.
The ball doesn't leave the spinning reference frame in 10-pin bowling, though.
No, but it does curve as it goes down the aisle.
Yeah, but that's an actual deviation. So this is part of the conflation from the globe side. So the deviation, if it was your balloon, in your frame of reference, you've just gone up and come down again. Well, that would still be true if Earth was spinning underneath, which it isn't. But if it was spinning underneath, your experience would still just be going up and down. So you're not travelling left or right. You're not putting a little motor on the side of your balloon and forcing it to go in a given direction. It's just going up and down. That's the actual vector. Whereas from the ground, it appears, if the ground's spinning, that you in your balloon are drifting away from the person observing it. It only appears that way, not because you're actually making it move away from the person on the ground. They're spinning away from you, and that's the bit that proves Earth spinning. The balloon seeming to curve away from the person on the ground. So it's curving away and up, even though it's only actually going up. But because the guy on the ground in this example with your balloon is getting squashed at the end of an hour, it observably isn't drifting an inch. It's not drifting, and therefore Earth's not spinning. Because that's the bit they need. They need the balloon to drift to show that Earth's spinning. The ball's drifting when kicked, right? Going through the goalposts because Earth's spun underneath the ball. Well, yeah, spinning underneath the ball, spinning underneath the balloon, spinning underneath the drone, spinning underneath the aeroplane that doesn't take an hour and a half when travelling west. So all of this is disproving that Earth spins, because the proof that Earth spins is the deviation, and we often get fundies here arguing about there being no deviation. oh, it's retaining the spin. Well, then that's not proving it spins then, because the deviation is the bit that proves it spins. The Coriolis effect is the bit that proves Earth spinning underneath, conclusively giving you 2 reference frame, demonstrating that it's spinning. Problem, when it doesn't happen, and we don't see deviation.
I
Earth's
think
not
I'm getting
spinning.
out
You're
too
you're
much
absolutely
too
right.
much flatter indoctrination for one day for me, Oakley. If you guys want to see me, check on my channel. It's called Arwin, ARWIN.
Jose JG Gonzalez. So shout out to Jose JG Gonzalez. Subscribe today.
What?
That's good. Now, thank you guys. I'm out of here. I'll come back later. Boom.
Saved by the bell.
E?
Hey QE, can you hear us?
Morning.
Morning. Well, afternoon here.
What's up, John?
Yeah. Did I kill the conversation?
I was going to say, Quantum Eraser, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, shameless plug time since it's all quiet. Hey, 2 p.m. U.S. Central, 8 p.m. UK. Be there or be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser channel. It will be, today is going to be a spectacular show from Spec some years ago, and Epistemology for Truth getting train wrecked. So check it out. It's a good oldie. You'll enjoy it.
Sorry, did you say Spec? Was he presumably on your side of the argument, though, right?
Yeah, Spec was.
I was going to say.
Well, yeah, he had a channel back in the day, and people would come on, Cathexis and Upside Down Head, and a bunch of people would come on back then. And Epistemology for Truth decided to show up and spout some of his nonsense. Well, I caught him. So it's pretty good. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I really like Spectacles. I interviewed him about 3 years ago.
Yeah, he was hanging around not too long ago, about 2 months ago, and then vanished again. So, yeah, Spec was a good guy.
I don't think he vanished. I just think he stopped chatting. So I kept in touch with Spec, and he's around. He's just not, actively participating in chat and things of that nature or making videos. But he hasn't detached himself in any way other than to, engage with his normal life more than he does with chat rooms. So I think he is still lurking around. Lurking's a bad word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, 8 p.m. UK on the Quantum Eraser channel. Be here or be Sphere. Epistemology for Truth, Spectacles, and Quantum Eraser. Go at it. 8 p.m. UK.
And next Tuesday, my live debut, the one where I'm in charge. It's going to be great, man. Tuesday, September 17th. Be there or be Sphere. It's going to be wild.
So it's... If I was you, I'd be saying, it's my debut on the 17th, Tuesday, on the Quantum Eraser channel. Be here or be Sphere.
Yes, you would.
Yeah. You never even asked if you could swipe that, but you get it wrong every time. So it's like, I'm correcting you on something that you've completely stolen. Not that I've got any room to moan when 90% of my rhetoric has come from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's all good, man. I do it on purpose now.
No, I'll definitely tune in at 8 p.m. And then after Quantum Eraser, you've got the new time of Uncut and After Show. So that's at 9 p.m. now. It used to be at 10, just so you know. I did release a schedule for people to check it out. But so there's now going to be a 2-hour Uncut and After Show every day at 9 p.m. on Nathan Oakley channel. So that's going to follow the Quantum Eraser channel show at 8 p.m. And then following that will be Monday to Thursday, Ranty's round table. So yesterday's show was with a fake professor, and I don't know what's today, but certainly after this I know this is live now, but I'll plug it again when we're in the actual after show. But yeah, certainly, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, just be mindful that there is a show starting at 11 p.m. UK, which is Ranty Flat Earth's Roundtable. And I'm sure it's a wonderful show. I have no idea what's on. I'm sure it'll be great. I'll be there in the chat. Did you catch his show yesterday, QE?
I didn't have a chance, man. I was swamped.
Just don't.
I was gonna say, don't worry about it too much. You didn't miss much.
I gave up on it after the guy's presentation. So normally, you know, for solidarity, you'd hang around just to see what Anthony's got to say and maybe offer support from the chat or whatever. But after his presentation, I was like, this guy's a fraud. He can't formulate a hypothesis. He's not a scientist. He's just a liar. You know, enjoy Anthony's demolition of him out of here.
Who was it?
Some fraud. You know, he formulated a hypothesis that was if the Earth is flat, and then his null being if the Earth is not flat. I'm like, how are you going to vary that? You complete fool. That's your formulated hypothesis. Claim to be a scientist, idiot. No.
I was dying at that. And Riley tells him, he's like, that's not even a well-formed hypothesis. And the guy was like, that's great. That's a great hypothesis.
That's a soundly hypothesis. Was it soundly?
Yeah, train wreck soundly type hypothesis, correct?
Yeah. It's too funny. Which was it? The Earth is flat and then the Earth is not flat? Is that what it was?
Yeah, basically.
Clowns, man. Pure clowns. Too funny. I'll have to check it out, man.
But he started his presentation with what is science on a slide. It was quite amusing because you've got Ranty then transitions to a picture of himself underneath this slide, which just kept me amused for quite a few minutes. Speak of the devil, here's Ranty. But yeah, so he's got his slide with what is science and Ranty underneath it. And before he even got to starting the subject, I must have spammed about 20 times. You know, science is the establishment of a cause of a phenomena based on systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis. You know, done, and then a little green tick. And I got the opportunity to spam that at least 15 or 20 times before he even started. And then when he did, he used those words in amongst the rest of the bullshit. You know, he's got the word hypothesis in there somewhere. He's got the word variable in there somewhere, along with a whole load of other nonsense, completely, making it clear to anybody with half a brain that he's a fraud. Hey, Ranty, good guest yesterday.
Top guest, what can I say?
Poor show, Fundies, poor show.
Well, he had all the credentials.
Really? I
Apparently
claimed
so.
he was just a liar. If you can't formulate a hypothesis, what are your credentials worth?
Well, his credentials stacked up though, but sadly his performance was a little bit underwhelming. I was hoping for a little bit more, to be honest. I thought Sleeping Warrior would have had his toughest assignment to date, but unfortunately it didn't work out like that.
I left before he started, so did he just take him apart with one hand behind his back, I assume?
Not even one hand. I think he took him apart with his left fingernail.
That's what I suspected. I said this will be an absolute demolition by Anthony. Enjoy. And then I left because it was bedtime. I was like, yeah, I've heard enough.
It was. I even congratulated Tony on his performance because he didn't need to even try very hard. That was the thing, because the stuff that the guy was bringing up was things that, as flat earthers and, we've been around this for such a long time now that we've seen all these arguments that he was bringing up. It was so old, the arguments. We destroyed them so many times over. It was like he hadn't even seen a projection of the flat Earth map. Hadn't even seen it. I says, well, how are you coming in then to sort of like debate flat earther and say that your model's correct because everything seems to work without even looking into the alternate the other side of the argument?
What? That's not an objection I would have. That's perfectly reasonable. In fact, I would tell him off if he suddenly held that up as a straw man because he'd studied our model. Because my argument would be, don't straw man with some model I don't hold. Why does he have to look at the alternative? I don't get it. Sorry, Ranty.
Because he was asking about how can sunsets set on a flat Earth. So Tony went into, the flat Earth map, and he was like, "Oh, right, okay, well, it can be shown to work on this." And he goes, "Oh, I've not even seen that. Oh, I'd be interested to take a look." I thought, well, how can you just come in and he's literally just coming in to preach. That's the way I thought it was.
Yeah, that's how I saw it too.
Otherwise, you'd come in to sort of like say, well, okay, well, I've seen yours, and this is mine, and this is why mine works, and this is why yours doesn't. But without even coming in to see what we had to offer, he's just coming in preaching that he thought he could just take apart flat Earth within an hour or two, and he was just destroyed.
Sure he was. I've just taken a different attitude, which if I carry on the vein that I'm thinking of now in terms of what you've just told me, I'll just end up annoying you personally, which is, not my objective. I'm sure Anthony did a very good job, but by the same token, what we've got to offer, the azimuthal equidistant projection and a reification of bloody balls of light in the sky at given distances, that's not my model.
No, we're not saying it. We weren't saying it was our model at all. We were just saying, look, flat earthers have put a model out, and this seems to take care of what you've just said. Whether or not it's true or not is a totally different matter. But the fact that you hadn't even looked into it.
Hold on a second. You're talking about models. His model?
Yeah,
the whole
that was his
argument
belief.
is bunk.
He was a model believer. Everything he said in his presentation was pointing at it.
Yeah. As soon as he said model, the argument was over.
It was like he came in to just say, I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah, the arrogance.
And you will listen to me because I'm a professor.
Yeah, the arrogance of people who believe in the globe is unreal. Because they've been so brainwashed that it's already a done deal that when they step into this arena, 9 times out of 10, they haven't got the vaguest notion what they're even in for. They haven't studied up and brushed up on the alternative arguments. They haven't looked into it or explored it. They just know they're right. And they come in and have their ass handed to you, and suddenly they're in like deer in the headlights mode and can't quite believe what's happening. Oh, what? What do you mean there is an alternative explanation? It's like the guy's basically saying, I have absolutely no requirement to even look into the alternative. I automatically know I'm right, and I'm educated with letters after my name. Therefore, you will damn well listen to me tell you how right I am for a bit. You idiots. That's his attitude.
That was it. But one thing that happened with Tony was that he'd asked for pre-disclosure of the info, what they were going to talk about. And this guy wouldn't produce what he was going to talk about. So he said, right, okay, then we can just watch a video then, if that's the case. I've done a video, go and watch it and we'll talk about those things, yeah? So Tony went and watched this video. It was like an hour and 20 minutes, researched everything, and then the guy brought nothing up about it.
Yep. Shocker. Standard.
Yeah, that guy was a fraud, bro. That guy wasn't even like a debater. Like he was nothing. He was literally like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was so bad. Like I was wishing for one of the regular ballers at that point, because I was like, this guy is just a real waste of time. Bring Rumpus.
At the end, he was rumpusing and stuttering all over the place.
Somebody.
Cool. We'll discuss it a bit more in the after show, but with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. A massive thank you also to all of today's debating panel for making this live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!